Skateboards have been around since the 1950s. When surfers in California decided to create a longboard, they used the boards to cut on pavement banks the same way they would use it to cut on a wave with their surfboard. The boards had a fish-like shape to them, to emulate the design of a surfboard. The fish shape had a very broad tail with a very tip point on the end, and the broad tail was used for the boarders to control the skateboard and make hard turns on the waves. Over time, skateboarders developed tricks, and so the boards took on a new shape to accommodate the new style of riding. Between 1950 and 1980, skateboards took on a lot of differences, but right now I have a contemporary skateboard, which has been essentially the same model that's been used since the late 1980s. And essentially what it is the concave of the board is a lot different than the original. The nose and tail look very similar, and the reason for that is skateboards developed tricks, and with that they needed the ability to ollie. And the ollie is something that's performed by sliding the front foot on a skateboard while pushing down on the back, and the front foot catches the front concave and moves the board up. This allows for all sorts of different tricks. And the outside concave allows for flip tricks, which would be when the skateboarder kicks the foot out to either side of the skateboard in order to emulate different types of flips with their skateboard. Today, I'm going to show you the basic components of a skateboard and how it's held together. This is a truck. One wheel's on and one wheel's off, but the truck is used for skateboarders to be able to steer their board. Whenever someone leans to one side or the other, it's the truck that helps the skateboarder to make that movement, whether it's on pavement or any other surface. And with the truck, the way that it's grafted to the board is through nuts and bolts. And here I have examples of both nuts and bolts, and I'm going to show you how that it's attached to a skateboard using a skateboard tool, which could be replaced by any type of a tool that would grab a nut, any type of a wrench of some sort, and a screwdriver. So, first thing you want to do is you want to line it up with the holes that are on the skateboard, and you want to push the nuts through on the skateboard. This gives you a basic understanding of where you're going to be placing the truck. And at that point, you place the truck on the skateboard, and then you assemble the nuts of the skateboard. Now first, you want to do it with your hands, so that you have a basic understanding of where your nuts and bolts are on the skateboard. Now generally, you would do all 4 holes, but since we're on a time limit, I only decided to do 2. So I'm going to tighten these up. Now while I'm doing them, the different parts of the skateboard that you need to be familiar with are the kingpin and the bushings. The kingpin is this nut right here. And this keeps the board from wobbling too much. You can decide whether to tighten it or loosen it too much. And the bushings is very important to trick skateboarding because it helps to relieve the impact from landing on your board, whether you're doing, you're jumping off of long ledges or you're, any type of grinding. It helps relieve the impact from it. So I'll finish up tightening up these 2 screws. And then I'll show you the wheel. The wheel comes off with a little bit bigger of a nut. The nut holds the board onto the truck, and obviously the wheels are a very important part of a skateboard, because they help the skateboard to turn and to move altogether. And really, skateboarding can become a trick fashion of its own until wheels were made using polyurethane. And polyurethane helps the skateboard to almost grip the surface that it's in contact with, and that allows skateboarders to grab the pavement almost like a surfboard would grab a wave and make its turns. So the wheels nowadays they're made with a polyurethane. And that's a very important part in the history of skateboarding because it helped to develop trick skateboarding. Now the way in which we remove a wheel from its bearings, which help it to move faster, is there's a lot of different skate tools that you can use for it, but the most prevalent one is just to use the truck base itself. And so we put it on there lightly. and you would push it off. Now, the bushing, or the bearings rather, are they're very tough to get off the board. Now, it would take me a long time to get them off the wheel, but it takes a long time to get them off there, so I'm not going to bother with that. But the bearing is what helps the skateboard to move faster, and with that, you want to make sure that they stay clean. And with that, you want to make sure that you have WD-40 at any time, and you want to soak it in WD-40 and wash it off with a Q-tip to make sure that they stay fast, because the bearing helps to move it along faster. So at that point, you would put your wheel back on, you would reattach the nut to your board, and you would have your skateboard completely assembled. I showed you the way a truck attaches to a board, the reason a board has its concave, the wheel, and the bearing. Now, anytime you wanted to go out and skateboard, you would have the basic knowledge of how to assemble a skateboard. Thank you.